Hello everyone and welcome to something different that I'm going to try. This is of course very topical because this is the hot new game that is out right now, Gran Turismo 6. Yeah, great. Now, what I wanted to do basically was showcase some of my favorite vehicles that are in GT6. They're not always the fastest or the most pretty ones, but it is often something about them that makes them interesting to me. In this case, I'm highlighting the Mercedes SL55, which I have tuned, and I like this car because it is a great car for leaving a big smoke trail behind you, and I like the sound that it makes. Now first I'm gonna show you some clips of just gameplay, me driving on the Ascari track, just to let you hear the kind of sound that this car makes. Now, I will be the first to admit that GT6 doesn't really have the most amazing sounding cars. I think that's one of the downsides of GT6, that the cars sometimes just sound like outright crap. But I think this car sounds fairly decent, especially for a GT6 game. If you're interested in the setup that I use, these are all the settings. I'm of course using sport soft tires because it allows the car to spin just a little bit more. I'm not using race tires or anything. This allows the car to slide a little, which is the whole purpose of the car, obviously. So that's what I've chosen for sports soft tires. As for suspension, these are the suspension settings. Ride height is pretty low. The back is up slightly higher. Spring rate is hard but not too hard. The compression and extension ratio, the anti-roll bars. Camber angle I've left as such. The toe angle I did change the front to -10 because it allows the car to have a little bit more of a... It makes the cornering of the car a little bit easier, basically. Brakes, of course, I have racing brakes, so that makes sense. Drivetrain, the transmission I just left stock because I like the fact that it's an automatic gearbox and it shifts really smoothly, and the speed is not really the issue. I just left it as such. It makes the car a little bit more interesting to what I like, basically. Drivetrain though, the fully customizable mechanical diff, I've changed the acceleration sensitivity all the way low because that allows for one of the wheels to spin individually, meaning you leave a great plume but you also have relatively high grip, and of course, you know, the clutch and the flywheel and the propeller shaft and everything. In terms of power, engine tuning to the max, as well as the computer. I've left the exhaust stock because I kind of like the sound that it makes stock. Exhaust manifold and catalytic converter, I've used that. I'm not using the supercharger because it makes the car a little bit too powerful, but I am using the intake, as you can see, which leaves the power at about 684 brake horsepower. In terms of the body, I have weight reduction and the windows as well, but not the bonnet because that makes the bonnet look a bit weird, and I like it to look a little bit stock. So that's pretty much everything that goes into the setup of the car, which then only leaves for me to let you see what this car behaves like. I'm driving again on the Ascari track, this time with other cars, just to show you what this car can do in terms of creating a huge plume of smoke behind you to blind pretty much everyone else who is driving there, which makes this car fun. I really like driving this car. It's a blast to just trying to get the longest possible smoke trail behind you. And that is what makes this car interesting to me. It's not the fastest car, it's not the car with the most grip or anything. It's still a relatively heavy car. I mean, it's at about 1.5 tons. But it makes the sort of drifting, the controlling of the car, really, really interesting. What I did forget to show you was that I'm not using traction control at all. I am using the skid recovery force, but that is the only thing, that and ABS is the only thing that I'm using to keep this car in check, pretty much. But it makes this car super fun to drive. Enjoy!